Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Buckley. This is the Module 2 video assignment for disruption. Disruption of communication. This week's assignment was to pick an area of communications that has been disrupted by the digital revolution / groundswell. How has it changed? What are the drawbacks and the benefits? Groundswell is defined as a social trend to which people use technologies to get things they need from each other rather than from traditional institutions like corporations. When I thought about this, the area of communications that really stood out to me was advertising and marketing. Advertising and marketing was formerly just one-way communication, primarily distributed through print, radio, television. It only gave a voice to the business or brand, and advertisements were primarily paid. Social media and the groundswell has really changed this. Consumers are no longer just accepting the one-way communication and the advertisements from, big businesses, but they're rather seeking out information on their own. They're talking to their peers on the internet, on various social media websites, and they're doing their research on different brands and also products before they go out and buy them. Some benefits of this change: social media is redefining advertising and branding. Through social media platforms, it allows consumers to interact and respond. The two-way communication that's been going on between consumers and businesses is something that we've never seen before. This is something that was discussed in Clue Train Manifesto about how the internet has made it possible for consumers and brands and businesses to be able to communicate to one another and no longer just accept the one-way communication that had been the norm for so many years. This passage I thought was really interesting. It says, "Corporate messaging is pathetic. It's not funny, it's not interesting, it doesn't know who we are or care. It only wants us to buy. If we wanted more of that, we'd turn on the tube. But we don't, and we won't. We're too busy, we're too wrapped up in some fascinating conversation." So that brings me to the drawbacks of the change. I think that the drawbacks really don't affect the consumer very much, but rather the businesses. Businesses that have been, engaging in traditional advertising for so long, I think are having a hard time adapting to this change. I think that big businesses that, start developing social media platforms, web pages and communities, a lot of times seem disingenuous. They don't really, seem genuine. They just kind of, seem like they're on there just because they need to be, but they're not really, giving any value back to the consumer. So I think that for a lot of businesses, they're finding it hard to adapt. This passage from Groundswell I thought was interesting and really relates to advertising and marketing and how it's changed. It says, "If you have a brand, you're under threat. Your consumers have always had an idea of what your brand signifies, an idea that may vary from the image you're projecting. Now they're talking to each other about that idea. They are redefining themselves and the brand you spent millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars creating." When I think about this passage, it really makes me think of the big soda companies like Pepsi or Coke who spend, millions and millions of dollars on advertising each year. They, are sending out messaging, trying to get us to buy their product, but really, I think most people don't even absorb the information that they're getting. I think that they think that by signing Beyonce for a big, expensive contract, we're going to go out and buy Pepsi, but it's not really the case. Then moving on to this quote from Groundswell: "If you work for a media company, look out. Advertising are shifting more and more of their money online." This I thought was interesting because I do work for a media company that focuses primarily on print advertising. So I do think it will be interesting to see if it affects the business that I'm in and how long it'll take to, start seeing the effects. A current event that I saw that was interesting was this article, "Why 2014 is the Year of Social Media Advertising." It talks about increased paid advertising on Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, Instagram, and Pinterest. To bring you to the article, this article is from January of 2014. It discusses promoted posts on Facebook as well as the introduction of video ads. The first video ad was for the recent movie Divergent. This I thought was interesting, the reaction. According to marketing consultant, 83% of people surveyed reported that they would find Facebook video ads intrusive and would likely ignore them. To be honest, that's probably what I would do as well. For Twitter, paid advertisements you're going to start seeing if you haven't seen them already. Foursquare, apparently Foursquare is engaging in paid advertisements as well, although they say that it's kind of losing its niche and its traffic for a while now. Instagram, I thought this was interesting. No surprise that Facebook-owned Instagram began rolling out ads around the same time as its parent company. I don't think I've seen paid ads on Instagram yet, but I'll be sure to keep an eye out for those. Pinterest, not surprised, I've been seeing those for a while. And then I thought that the conclusion of this article where it says, all this growth in social media advertising means one thing. Your brand should be advertising on social platforms, which is, essentially what we learned from this week's readings and from Groundswell, as well as Clue Train Manifesto from last week. So that concludes my presentation. I can't wait to see what all of you, thought, and also what you chose to talk about for this.